Houston, we have liftoff. Awesome. Good morning. Is anybody here? Oh, everybody's been here before. I probably don't need. Feel free to. And always believing to be there for ourselves. Each of us, our own mental, hopefully, our aspiration to start the meditation bardo, according to to views of the with you. This word, birth and all that goes in four and book club meeting. What's called there's the bardo between your birth and the moment when your death begins. So all of us are in that bardo. But then within that bardo, there's also the bardo of meditation, and there's also the bardo of sleep. And each of those is a space between. And when you think about your life itself as the space between two other moments, to me that's very connected with this fundamental Buddhist idea of impermanence. And often people talk about impermanence in the context of death or of loss or of transition. So it often kind of has almost a scary connotation. But as probably a lot of you know right now, I'm getting ready to go down to part-time with my job. I've moved out of my apartment. I'm flying off to Seattle tomorrow morning. I'll be spending time in Canada. So, it makes me think of a little bit of wisdom that I got from my Kung Fu teacher many years ago. He said, anytime you leave town, and especially anytime you leave the country, preparing for that is like preparing for death. And at the time I was like, But every time I prepare to leave the country, it really kind of is like that, because you're wrapping things up. And for me, in the process of moving out of my apartment and putting stuff in storage or giving it away or tossing it out, it really made me think, like, who am I? And it also gave me the opportunity to reflect, who do I want to be after this transition? It's a really big transition for me and for Dawn Mountain, for our community, but mostly for me probably. And I think we hear a lot about death and transition in terms of, the spiritual potential that there is at that time, because our normal mind is kind of dissolving. We come down to a point where there's just Buddha nature, and that's, for a moment, that's all we experience of ourselves. And then we kind of start putting the layers back on again of our ordinary sense of self. So that idea of the bardo, that idea of transition has been very strong for me right now. And what I've been finding is that, yes, there's a scary aspect of it. Yes, there's the aspect of like physically and emotionally sort of letting go of certain things that have defined who I am. But there's also this tremendous freshness in the experience. Harvey talks a lot about this word freshness and its relationship to meditation, and how important it is to really approach every meditation, and optimally even every moment in the meditation, as its own moment. Because every moment is the only thing that's real then. And I think that's much more clear when you're letting go of the past. You come to realize, like, these things that I thought defined me, as it turns out, I can throw them away. I can give them to someone else, and they don't define me anymore, they define someone else. Or, if I've defined myself by where I live as a proud Texan, what does it mean when my center of gravity shifts somewhere else? And so I just want to share that sense of in-betweenness, that sense of I think Pema Chodron calls this a positive ungroundedness. I don't remember exactly what term she uses for it, but she talks about that sense that, we tend to think like there's something stable that we're kind of resting on, and it holds us in place, and this is who we are, and this is where we are. And part of what's exciting and also terrifying about a spiritual path is dissolving that sense that there's something stable that's grounding us in place, and we come to realize it's all a flow, all the time. And there's something much more real about that state of being cracked open and not thinking that we already know who we are. So I just wanted to share those reflections before we start the meditation, so that as we all kind of go through this bardo of meditation together, this in-betweenness, that really is, it's like every time you sit down to meditate, it's like a sacred space, because the time leading up to when you start that meditation, we all have email and things we're supposed to do, and I'm trying to finish up a bunch of stuff before I leave, and then it kind of stops externally. Anyway, it might not stop internally, and we have this space that really is going to be a reflection of our own mind. And then we can pick everything back up again once we get up off the cushion, optimally in a different way. And I think those of us who are into Tibetan Buddhism, we tend to hear the word bardo and we tend to think of like the time of death. But I think it can be really invigorating to our practice to actually think about bardo as every single moment. There was the moment before, there's a moment that comes after, but every single moment has actually never happened before. And we tend to assume there's going to be, a next moment that's like this one, but it's not guaranteed. So anyway, that's my reflection for this morning. Now let's meditate. If you have questions, I'm happy to chat with you during the break. So for our meditation, for entering the bardo of meditation, we can start with the posture. I like to just imagine that the seat of my body is heavy, and really feel that support of the cushion, or if you're on a chair, you can feel the support of the chair kind of pushing back up against you. It's kind of nice just to invite yourself to relax and be supported, to just accept that support that comes up from the earth itself. So we're just letting ourselves be heavy on the cushion, and then from that heavy base, our spine rises up. And I like to imagine a little string pulling the crown of my head up. And you'll find that kind of straightens your spine, but you might also find there's a little bit of tension in your back. So after you've straightened up, you can just kind of relax. And allow the natural alignment of the spine to support your body in a relaxed way. So here we are, and our meditation will have two parts, both intended as ways to train our attention. And the first part is feeling into the breath at the center of the abdomen, what the Tibetans call the do. So if you'd like, you can actually start by feeling the breath any place that's most obvious to you. So if it's your nostrils, your throat, or your chest, wherever that is. And then you can just let your attention drop down once you feel a bit more settled. Or if this is already a very comfortable place for you, you can just let your attention drop down there deep in your body. And what we're doing is feeling that bare physical sensation of the expansion and contraction of the abdomen. Or if you're sensitive to your body's energy system, your qi, or Tibetans call it lung, this is also a good place to just feel that flow. So we'll allow the mind to settle into those physical sensations, and then every few minutes, we'll sound the syllable hong together. And this is a syllable that kind of wakes up our enlightened mind. So we can just use the sound itself as our object of meditation. And you can sound it, or you can just be quiet and hear everyone else around you, whatever is comfortable for you. And then I'll ring the bell again when it's time to just go back into silent sitting. So let's begin. As we enter the bardo of meditation, if you find that your mind is very distracted, you can just gently label it thinking. If that's not working, you can come back to a sense of your motivation. The main thing is just to allow the mind to settle, give it some time, and just allow it to be as curious as possible about that physical sensation of breathing. If you'd like to return to this image of the bardo, the spaces between, you can find different bardos in the breath. In the most literal sense, there's a tiny little gap between the in-breath and the out-breath, and between the out-breath and the in-breath. Or you can take any part of that breath process, for instance, the in-breath, and just see it as the space between two other parts of that process. You can see if anything changes, if you have a greater sense of the freshness or the real specificity in the moment of what is happening. So now we'll sound the syllable hung, and as we shift our attention from that internal physical sensation to putting our attention on just the sound of hung as we sound it or as everyone else around us sounds it, you can just feel into what is the difference between how is it different to focus on an internal sensation versus focusing on a sound? As your attention settles back inside your body to focus on the breath again, what does that feel like? Can you feel a difference between focusing on sound and focusing on sensations inside the body? Once again, we'll sound hung together. We'll shift our attention to that sound itself as our object of meditation. Once again, we settle the attention back inside the body and rest it on that flow of breath again. sound hung one more time. Now let's take about a 10-minute break, and we can have some snacks or tea in that area back there. If you haven't had a chance to write names in the book, we have a book that goes around. Charlotte has it in the back. And if you know of anyone who needs some extra help right now, you can put their name in the book, or anyone in the bardo between death and rebirth. All right, so see you in 10 minutes.
Dawn Mountain offers traditional Buddhist teachings primarily in the Tibetan tradition in a way that is accessible to contemporary Americans. Having studied and practiced for many years under recognized Tibetan masters, and understanding that these teachings provide a way to realize the natural state of mind that embodies profound wisdom and deep love, Anne Klein and Harvey Aronson wished to share these traditions here in the United States. As a result, they established Dawn Mountain in June 1996, based on the core belief that it is possible to cultivate a better understanding of our deepest nature, which in turn facilitates new levels of mental calm and self-acceptance.
So our inspiration really comes from our love and gratitude to our own teachers. They spent so much time and care with us over many, many years.
Kaizen Rinpoche was extraordinarily compassionate. He had a terrific sense of humor. And just his ability to be present and immediate and just there. Adzon Rinpoche is extraordinarily compassionate and grounded.
And we've had extraordinary experiences with Adzon Rinpoche, whom I met in Tibet in 96. And I've had many hours of just, one-on-one conversation, a person who has tens of thousands of students to attend to. Okay, there's this wealth of cultural wisdom in Tibet. It's encoded in texts, in practices, in rituals, in art. And many people in the West are attracted to it, and yet Westerners are Westerners. We're Westerners. We're not monastics. We may dedicate our lives to practice in our heart of hearts, but we have families, we have jobs, we have all kinds of responsibilities. So how can we communicate and really experience transformation through these practices? For that, some kind of bridging is necessary. We're also a community center, nonprofit community center, which is the hub of our work extending life skills, the life skills of cultivating calm, of cultivating ease in life, of cultivating kindness.
What did you do today that you liked?
Make the glittery thing to show your anger.
And what happened when you shook up the glittery thing?
It made me feel a little bit like I wanted to meditate in peace.
And then the Research Institute is where we look at what we can provide by way of information gained through research for the interested public. So we've mentioned that our own teachings here, which are drawn from work that we've done, our own translation work, our own study, and so forth, some of these will start appearing as pamphlets for practitioners here, and some of them will become books that will be published and will be widely available to the larger public. And I am right now in the process of gathering a team to translate a text from this tradition, which he powerfully feels, and which I also have a very, very strong wish to see translated. And we hope to do more of that. We've seen people telling us how their lives have changed, how their lives are improved, the comfort, the inspiration that they feel coming to Dawn Mountain. We really are inspired to envision a way that Dawn Mountain becomes a stable beacon and place of gathering for people who wish to practice at whatever level.
I trust the teachings. I feel in the place. I feel that I am constantly fed.
And I can feel my breathing better because of the way my legs are positioned.
How long have you been sitting like that?
I learned it when I started coming here.
And it's not only been in the spiritual sense, but also in every aspect of my daily life. I feel that I'm less stressed out. I don't get as angry or as depressed as I used to.
It's good. It teaches me how to kind of relax and be mindful and help with school and stuff like that whenever I get aggravated.
One of our projects that has come to partial fruition is that we have developed a curriculum, which is posted on our website, that explains the open matrix of what a spiritual path can be supported here at Dawn Mountain.
We've slowly become aware of the power of the media, and it is clear now that there is great interest in both our broadcasts from here, and from time to time we might be able to have broadcasts from Asia with Adzom Rinpoche or his sister Anila. Without students there are no teachers, and without teachers there are no students. We all dependently create one another. So we're very, very excited by the energy that is in the community. The community is alive, it is supportive, it is growing, and it really wishes to thrive, and we want to participate in that thriving in every way that we can. But we're really talking about finding a space of shared values. And if individuals share the values that we have in terms of coming to a deep appreciation of our innermost nature, then come and participate. That's the most significant thing that we can do together. Just sharing our participation is lovely and meaningful. And anything above and beyond that by way of offering service for this community, offering financial, flows naturally. And we expect that that will just be a natural outflow for people because of that shared interest.
Dawn Mountain offers traditional Buddhist teachings primarily in the Tibetan tradition in a way that is accessible to contemporary Americans. Having studied and practiced for many years under recognized Tibetan masters, and understanding that these teachings provide a way to realize the natural state of mind that embodies profound wisdom and deep love, Anne Klein and Harvey Aronson wished to share these traditions here in the United States. As a result, they established Dawn Mountain in June 1996, based on the core belief that it is possible to cultivate a better understanding of our deepest nature, which in turn facilitates new levels of mental calm and self-acceptance.
So our inspiration really comes from our love and gratitude to our own teachers. They spent so much time and care with us over many, many years.
Khetsen Rinpoche was extraordinarily compassionate. He had a terrific sense of humor. And just his ability to be present and immediate and just there. Adzom Rinpoche is extraordinarily compassionate and grounded.
And we've had extraordinary experiences with Adzom Rinpoche, whom I met in Tibet in 96. And I've had many, 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 many hours of just, one-on-one conversation, a person who has tens of thousands of students to attend to. Okay, there's this wealth of cultural wisdom in Tibet. It's encoded in texts, in practices, in rituals, in art, and many people in the West are attracted to it, and yet Westerners are Westerners. We're Westerners. We're not monastics. We may dedicate our lives to practice in our heart of hearts, but we have families, we have jobs, we have all kinds of responsibilities. So how can we communicate and really experience transformation through these practices? For that, some kind of bridging is necessary. We're also a community center, nonprofit community center, which is the hub of our work extending life skills, the life skills of cultivating calm, of cultivating ease in life, of cultivating kindness.
What did you do today that you liked?
Make the glittery thing to show your anger.
And what happened when you shook up the glittery thing?
It made me feel a little bit like I wanted to meditate in peace.
And then the Research Institute is where we look at what we can provide by way of information gained through research for the interested public. So we've mentioned that our own teachings here, which are drawn from work that we've done, our own translation work, our own study, and so forth, some of these will start appearing as pamphlets for practitioners here, and some of them will become books that will be published and will be widely available to the larger public. And I'm right now in the process of gathering a team to translate a text from this tradition, which he powerfully feels, and which I also have a very, very strong wish to see translated. And we hope to do more of that. We've seen people telling us how their lives have changed, how their lives are improved, the comfort, the inspiration that they feel coming to Dawn Mountain. We really are inspired to envision a way that Dawn Mountain becomes a stable beacon and place of gathering for people who wish to practice at whatever level.
I trust the teachings. I feel in the place. I feel that I am constantly fed.
And I can feel my breathing better because of the way my legs are positioned.
How long have you been sitting like that?
I learned it when I started coming here.
And it's not only been in the spiritual sense, but also in every aspect of my daily life. I feel that I'm less stressed out.
Getting the secret transmission? Excellent. I feel like David always gets asked to light the candle, so spread the task. Welcome back, everybody, from our little break. So now we'll just do a little closing bit of the meditation where we use the syllable ah in the image of white light to kind of share the benefits of our practice with everybody. And then we'll close with a couple of prayers and read the names in the book. Excuse me. So to begin with, we can kind of just settle back into our meditation posture, settle back into that connection and support from the cushion or the chair, and just kind of let ourselves relax again. So the first time that we sound ah, we'll imagine a white light at our own heart center. And as we sound this ah, this light kind of spreads through our entire body. And we just imagine that it dissolves all of our cells into light. And this light has the quality of being healing and refreshing. And the second time that we sound ah, we imagine sending this light to everyone else in the room and also receiving the light that everyone else in the room is sharing with us. With the third ah, we imagine all of us together just share this light out through the city and the state and the country and the whole hemisphere and the globe and the entire universe as far as your mind can go with this. So we'll conclude with a couple of short, thank you, ma'am. A couple of short prayers from our prayer book. And then we'll say the names. Not yet. I'll give you a secret point. So let's start with the dedication from this prayer sheet. It's on the side called Group Practice Prayers. By this good may I swiftly once become a great guru, lead all beings, everyone, to reach to that very ground. And now we'll say the blessing verse, and if you would, please light the candle now. Thank you. With all of you in mind, we light this lamp of clarity. May the glow of love, wisdom shine within us, everyone, till we all rise forth born in one enlightened mandala. So we'll share the benefits of our practice today with all living beings, and especially with Bomanika. Sorry if I'm horribly mispronouncing people's names. Gus, Terry, Raheem, Raphael, Julie, Somerville family, Jason, Zubadia Maradia, Allison Lyons, Jennifer Welsh, Tiu, Dory Stroll, David Ellis, Ed Spradley, Eric Pendle, Ray and Raymond Houston, Camachos, Mike, Mary Scott, Beto, Kitty, Alice Runyon, Anna Silva, Ferran Pratt, Giselle Pratt, Leonardo Pratt, Vanessa Mura, Mauricio Silva, Gabriel Silva, Lucas Silva, Daura Silva, Felipe Silva, Gabriel Silva, Hier Orgier Luo, Kevin Weaver, Melvin Joseph, Patrick Bryant, Jessica Fairman, Daryl Fowkes, John Michael Bradshaw, Joseph Harmon, Robert Zarate, Charles Davis, Kirby Horowitz, Paul Middendorf, Cavill Ware, Elaine, Jennifer, Scott, Jasper, Larkin, Carol, Dina, Kevin, Marissa, Glenn, Xavier, Claire in the Bardo, Doris, Louvel, Charlotte, Constance Adams in the Bardo, Sarah Nelson Crawford in the Bardo, Bobby McCreary in the Bardo, Valerie, Matilde, Eleanor Day, Michael and Gray, Alyssa Ray, Carol Ray, Jody Martinez, Marcus Martinez, Kaylee Martinez, Jasmuti Upadhyaya in the Bardo, Bob Powell, Patsy Tyler, Doris, our broadcasters, Bobby for pain and easy transition, all suffering children, Kate Maddox, Tara, Francis, Sarah, Geronimo's father in the Bardo, Elsa de Rule in the Bardo and family, Kaskia and Sophie, Tapsu Mero, Tom Anthony, Barbara Levitt, Claire for smooth move, thank you. Bongani Mayosi in the Bardo, Anthony L., Cheryl, Pierre, Linda, Maria's mother in the Bardo, Brenda Lowe, Jean Eberhardt, and Jewel Trimble in the Bardo and family, Lois Symes, Bill in the Bardo, Claire Finger and her mom, Babitha Van Loo, Miriam Cypress, Art H., Vatana and her daughters, and all living beings. So thank you everybody for coming this morning. And if you don't already know this, we're going to have some bit of a light lunch and some snacks and delicious desserts in the community room after this to celebrate my becoming nomadic. So feel free to hang out and have some delicious munchies after this. We have Sunday morning meditations every Sunday, knock on wood, at 11. And we do mindful movement, almost always yoga with Mary Scott, who is awesome, at 9:30s. On the first Sunday of the month, we do a little teaching at 10:30 before the meditation. So it's going to be Harvey next time doing that, as far as I know. We're also in the middle of a Teaching Tuesday series where Harvey, Mark, and I are talking about motivations for practice. So especially if you're a member and you get those teachings for free anyway, be sure and register or come or, somehow access them. If you're not a member but you'd like to be, you can talk to me or Mary Scott or Jerry up at the front. And what other announcements do we have right now? Movie night, August 10th.
Saturday night at States of Grace, 7 o'clock. We provide the popcorn. Usually Colin texts me in the afternoon and says, "We're getting the pizza, right?" So yes, we'll provide the pizza and the popcorn.
For our online audience, that's August 10th, you said? Friday, August 10th at 7, States of Grace. We provide popcorn, and most likely it's going to be pizza too, and the pizza's really good, I have to say. So that's here. Come in and get air conditioned with your friends. Anything else? There's going to be a retreat in September. So if you haven't had the pleasure of coming to a Dzogchen Cycles retreat yet, it's not too late to apply. You can email me, claire@dawnmountain.org, and can get you hooked up with an application. Otherwise, y'all stay cool out there and have a good Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.